Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a watch review on Geya. So this is a watch brand that you probably haven't heard of. They're based in Shenzhen, China, founded in 1993. They reached out to me asking if I want to review one of their watches, and I thought, sure, why not? I don't review enough Chinese watches on this channel. So this brand, based on their website, this is a homage type brand. So they sell a lot of watches that kind of imitate more famous or more expensive watches. And they typically focus on big watches. So things like the AP Royal Oak, Richard Mille, Hublot, those bigger brands and those bigger watches. But I'm not a fan of homages. So I found one of their dress watches to review because I thought that'd be more interesting, showing something with a more original design. Now, again, I would say this brand is considered a micro brand. It's not like a huge mainstay brand, but they're trying to break into the market here, especially here in North America. So I chose this watch to review, and you can see that this doesn't actually have a name on the website. They just call this it's part of the classic series, and they just call it the mechanical watch G78197. So you can see, let me just put this aside. Can I just say that this was a really good unboxing experience? I don't know if you can tell, but this is actually like really good quality pillow. The box is actually like really good quality, really nice hinge, solid construction. I've bought Chinese watches before, but I haven't had a Chinese watch with such a good unboxing experience. I don't know. I think they put a lot of money and development into making sure the unboxing is good. So that is off to a good start. So let's put that aside. Look at this watch here. So this is a 40 millimeter dress watch, about 46.5 millimeters lug to lug. And just to show you how it fits, again, on my 6-inch wrist. So there you go. Again, 46.5 millimeters lug to lug. The lugs are 21 millimeters, so the bracelet a little bit thicker than I prefer. Usually I prefer 20 millimeter lugs or less, but still not too bad. 11.95 millimeters in height, so just under 12 millimeters there. And it's powered, you can see it's a mechanical movement. This is powered by the Miyota. Actually, I'm not sure which Miyota it is specifically. On the website, it just says, Miyota movement. But I believe this is a Miyota 8205. You can see the rotor back there. I'll talk about the movement in just a second here. But you can see that this is a classic dress watch. You have that blue sunburst pattern. You have the stick hour indices, kind of have the leaf-shaped hands. And then what's interesting is that, look at that 6 o'clock marker. So there's a 6 o'clock complication. I would consider this to be a day date. So you can see that the date is at the bottom and the day of the week is just above it. Interestingly enough, if you look at that complication, it might remind you of something. This kind of looks like that was supposed to be a moon phase, right? With the little two dimples there. This kind of looks like a moon phase. So my best guess is that they might have like recycled these parts or this dial that originally had a moon phase, and they put a day complication there. And interestingly, they put the number 2 there. So if I just pull out the crown and start changing the day, yeah, do you notice that every day of the week comes with a number? I'm not sure why they did that, to be honest. I guess, if you just want to know that Sunday is the 7th day of the week, and you can see it's a different color, might be useful, but I actually found it kind of confusing because you look at this and you say, okay, it's Monday, November 1st, but no, it's actually Monday, November 23rd. So kind of a weird quirk there. You got another side profile of that 11.95 millimeter casing. This is all stainless steel. This is a signed crown as well. Speaking of the crown, I don't know if you saw, but because this is a Miyota movement, no hacking. So when you adjust the time, the seconds hand continues on. But there is hand winding, and the hand winding is nice and smooth. And we'll switch to the back here. So open display case back. And do you notice that? So that's my one of my complaints about these Miyota 8 series movements. So this is Miyota is part of Citizen, or Citizen owns Miyota, and their 8 series has a unidirectional winding mechanism for the automatic rotor. So what that means is that on the other direction, one direction winds it, but the other direction is just freely spinning. So I want to see if I can actually do this properly. So if I give this a quick flick, no, let's try it again. There we go. Yeah, you see that? I gave it a flick and that rotor just goes wild. So based on this, it looks like the winding direction is counterclockwise and the non-winding direction is clockwise. So sometimes if you're walking around, you're like, honestly not even walking around, you can just like be writing something using your laptop and basically that'll just spin and it creates like a vibration sense and you can even hear the rotor moving. So that's something I don't like about these Miyota movements. Again, it's not really the problem of Geya per se, it's just the problem with the movement itself. So just another thing to keep in mind. Let's just flip to the back here again. Butterfly clasp, that is signed, works well. And you can see at this point, I have tested every critical function of a watch. And thankfully, it all passes. And you might think like, oh, like every watch should do that, right? But again, this is a micro brand, so I'm a little bit more cautious. I've bought Chinese watches before where, the crown was too stiff or the bracelet wasn't working, something was off, something was loud. So it honestly is kind of a huge win when you buy a micro brand and it just works. So that's another pro of this watch. It works. The clasp works. I adjusted the bracelet just a few minutes ago. Bracelet's working fine. The movement's working fine. Time adjustment's working fine. So again, another pro. Let's just get that another wrist shot here. So what else can I say that was good? So we talked about the unboxing experience. We talked about how everything works. I also just like how it's more or less an original design. Now, granted, like this isn't like a revolutionary design. There's other dress watches that look like this, but again, I don't like homage watches. I'd rather a watch be original and on its own. And so that's why I like this watch. Like it, I don't think it's trying to copy a certain brand or a certain style per se. It's just trying to be a dress watch. So that's something that I like. Those are the things that I like about it. Another thing, going back to the things I didn't like, again, that movement, oh, you see right there? It's spinning like crazy. You can't really stop it. Let's see if I can stop it there. So yeah, things I don't like. I think that movement can be improved if they give like an NH35, which is a Seiko movement that has bidirectional winding. Usually doesn't have this problem of that rotor spinning. I think that they should get rid of that number right below the day of the week because I think it's kind of redundant. Some people there might be divided opinions on using the moon phase as a day complication, but I don't mind it. It looks original. It doesn't look too out of place, in my opinion. Last thing I'll say, so again, this is a stainless steel bracelet, a mix of brushed and polished surfaces. I don't know how to describe it, but it feels a little bit on the cheap side. As far as I can tell, this is like fully stainless steel. I don't think these are hollow links. They look solid, but for some reason, kind of when I jingle it around, it feels just a little bit on the cheap side. Just a little bit. Just enough to slightly notice. So that's kind of my overview of this watch. Who do I think this watch is for? So there is a subset of YouTubers. There's also a subset of watch collectors that focus mainly on Chinese watches. Because typically the appeal of Chinese watches is that they offer, unique designs, they offer homages, and they offer things typically at a lower price point. So if you're looking for a dress watch, and again, you're looking towards Chinese micro brands, this might be a watch for you. Now, that being said, one of the appeals of these Chinese brands is the price. Typically they offer things, they offer great features like mechanical movement, sapphire crystal, all these designs for a cheaper price. This watch in particular is around 200 USD currently because it's on sale. 200 USD, that's about 285 Canadian dollars. Now, to keep that in perspective, like a lot of Orient watches, the Orient Bambino is kind of around that price point, right? Even some Seiko watches are in that price point. And Timex, that company has been going on kind of a comeback now with all their vintage designs, they also sell watches that are mechanical around that 300 Canadian dollar, 200 USD price. So this watch is competing with a very competitive market, this kind of, affordable budget watches. They have some pressure from the Japanese watch companies and even other Chinese brands, things like Cadison, things like, I think it's called Steel Dive. There's a lot of options around this price point. So I think for Geya, what they need to do is, they need to consider making those improvements that I mentioned, probably work on their marketing too, which is why they reached out to me. Or above all else, I think the price needs to be more competitive. I think at $300, there's a lot of options that consumers can look at. So if they can somehow bring down that price to, maybe like 200 Canadian dollars, then I can see this being a more viable alternative. But again, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing this brand. I hope that Geya does well in the future. Thanks again for sending it to me. Again, they sent it to me. This is a sponsored video, but these are my honest thoughts on this watch. Let's just finish off with one final wrist shot. So again, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more content. And as always, see you guys next time.